Welcome to another unscripted video. Today I feel like I should just share what's in my heart. The more I study Isaiah, and I've been studying Isaiah now for 10 years, the more I feel the weight of his words and also Nephi's words. Nephi's inclusion of Isaiah is more focused. In 2 Nephi chapter 12, verses 17 through 21, we read, "And the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, for the fear of the Lord shall come upon them, and the glory of his majesty shall smite them, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which he hath made for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats." It's interesting how in verse 17 starts off with the loftiness of man being bowed down. The Lord tends to elevate or exalt those who willingly abase themselves, who humble themselves, bring themselves down low to serve others. But those who elevate themselves and exalt themselves, they're the ones that are brought down low. We see an example of this in the Old Testament with, if I remember correctly, Nebuchadnezzar. And I won't go into that. But Nephi's including Isaiah in this chapter, which is a reflection of Isaiah chapter 2. And I'm going to go ahead and read from Isaiah chapter 2. In verses 7 and 8 we read, "Their land also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is also full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, that which their own fingers have made." Of course, we don't use horses anymore today, but we sure have a lot of cars, a lot of vehicles on the road today, especially here in northern Utah. Traffic rush hour can get pretty bad. They worship the work of their own hands. In a previous video, I mentioned that the Hebrew word abad, A-B-A-D, means both worship and work. So whatever it is that we work for, whatever it is we're laboring, is also what we worship. And there's a difference between going to work to provide for ourselves and our families, to put food on the table, to put a roof over our heads, to clothe our bodies. The Lord told Adam that by the sweat of his brow he would eat all the days of his life, and so that's what we're doing. But man tends to go beyond that. He tends to elevate himself and exalt himself by laboring to become wealthy, to build up stores and barns, looking for retirement plans and making sure that they are taken care of, instead of trusting the Lord to take care of them. In Isaiah chapter 1, the whole book starts off with, I'll just read verses 10 through 13 real quick. And in verse 10 we read, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye rulers of Sodom. Give ear unto the law of our God, ye people of Gomorrah." Isaiah is talking to the covenant people of the Lord. These are temple-going people. "To what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks or of lambs or of he-goats. When you come to appear before me, who hath required this at your hand, to tread my courts? Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot. Away with, it is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. These people were going to the temple, and their hearts were on their riches. Their minds were somewhere else, treading the Lord's courts. Well, what does that mean? If we go back to verses 3 and 4 of Isaiah chapter 1, Isaiah says, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider." The ox and ass are dumb animals. The ox is a clean animal. You could compare the ox to the Israelites. They were covenant people. They were clean before the Lord, or should be. The ass was an unclean animal, and even the ass knew his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. God's own covenant people did not consider. Verse 4, "Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward." When I first moved to Utah back in 1991, I remember that you could see the Salt Lake City temple from the interstate very easily. And for a while, you could travel for a mile or two or three, and you could still see the temple. Today, it's very difficult. About a weekend ago or two, when I was going to visit my son, as we were passing through downtown Salt Lake City, well, from the interstate, I had difficulty finding the temple. It's under construction right now, but towering over Temple Square are buildings of commerce, corporate headquarters, even Zion's Bank Tower, the headquarters. It towers over Temple Square. The land is full of idols. We are a temple-going people, and we are just as idolatrous and money-loving as the ancient Israelites were. And Nephi knew that his people would be the same, which is why he included Isaiah's words, and he knew that his children, his seed, would be destroyed, and it hurt him. And so Nephi likened Isaiah to himself and to his people. And it's important that we liken Isaiah and Nephi to ourselves, so that we might not make the same mistakes. And it is written in the Book of Mormon that we were given this record so that we might not make the same mistakes. But human nature is the same. It doesn't matter what era, what civilization, what society, which covenant people. It all rhymes. History just has a way of rhyming. And so, just like the Israelites were destroyed, burned with fire, as Isaiah wrote, and like the Nephites were, as Nephi wrote, we're heading down that same path.